Director of Construction at Boston Water and Sewer. Happy to be here tonight. We presented to you a few months ago that we would be coming back once we had a low bidder. I have Derek Rossi from D'Alessandro Corp tonight with us. He's the project manager from D'Alessandro. He's our low bidder. D'Alessandro was the same contractor that did phase 1. And with me tonight is Chris Dizik. He's from my office. He'll be the project engineer working with Derek in the field to oversee the project. So I'm going to just quickly go through the scope of the work, the locations of the work. We've provided on our handout, which will also be on our website for reference in the future, the locations of the streets are on the bottom, and a tentative schedule when we think the work will be done on those streets, keeping in mind that a lot of those streets that have water work can't be done in the winter because the bypass is put in the gutter line and it would freeze. So if we have a good winter, we will be petitioning the Public Works Department to work on streets that have sewer work like we did previously, and that worked out well. If we get a bad winter and the snow starts flying in January and February, then we'll shut down for a couple months and then we'll be back. So basically, the heart of this project is in the North Square area. We are well aware of Paul Revere's house and the historic nature of the area. We are also aware that Boston Public Works is planning reconstructions at North Square at some point in the near future. We're working with them to get their scheduling and when we will be able to do our work and what they want to do with the cobblestones that are presently there. So we plan on starting in North Square as our first street so that we are done as quickly as possible so when the city does want to get in there, they will be able to. So on our presentation board tonight, anything in a solid orange line is actually sewer work. That's an open cut, dig and excavate, replace in kind in the street. That means when we were doing our television inspection, which was actually the preliminary phase about 3 years ago, if the pipe is crushed and is filing on itself, that can't be lined. So we end up having to dig those. So anything with a solid orange line is like on North Street, that's a dig and replace. Anything that isn't failing, we're actually able to come in and line those pipes. And I'll do a little demonstration in a minute about what that process is like. And then anything in blue is our water main replacements. So we had been getting some rusty water complaints on Richmond Street. We're trying to address that as we wait for the work to be done with flushing the system. So if you do have any rusty water complaints in your home, it's just the iron oxide from the inside of the water main flaking off the pipe because it's old. It's not unhealthy to drink. It's actually just iron that you would take in a vitamin pill. A lot of people don't want to drink groundwater, but that is not an unhealthy condition. So those water mains will be replaced. In order to do that work, we put everyone on bypass. We coordinate that with each building owner because we have to actually either get in your home or find a plane to attach a hose to a spigot if you have one on the outside. So Derek's crews will be, we anticipate having 3 crews within the project area. This is one project area, and I'm going to just flip the board to go to the other side, where we have several other streets that are going to be done at various times. You may question why we're just picking certain streets. Well, in phase 1, we did mostly just lining work, except for Hanover Street, which we did full dig and replace. On the other streets, we've TV'd everything in the north end, and unless it's scheduled in phase 3, the water mains or the sewer pipes have either already been done in previous years or are still in good shape. So we also have 3 streets here that are highlighted in yellow that National Grid needs to come in before us and move their gas main. The unfortunate thing with the gas mains, when they were put in the early 1900s, It was easy excavation to put them right on top of our water mains. So we can't easily get down to our water mains. They have their gas main on top of those. Their gas mains are generally constructed of cast iron, and once we start digging near them, unfortunately their joints will start leaking, and we don't want to have a lot of gas leaks happening in the neighborhood, because then you get emergency digging, which we don't like to do. We like planning ahead and having them come in ahead of us. So we met with the gas company today. They do have the 3 streets. We'll be working cooperatively with them to start the work. I believe they'll be working on Towston Street first, and then we're going to work with them on the other 2 streets. One of the issues with the extremely wide Hanover Avenue is there isn't much room left in the street for a new utility. Yeah, about the size of the table. Is unfortunately there's no place, and they can't put down bypass. It's not safe to lay a live gas main in the gutter line like we can do with the water main. So we were going to work with them to try to find a little slot for them to go in, or they may come in with us when we're doing our water work and replace the gas main as we go up the street, so it's safe for everyone. So there are some issues with these extremely wide alleys in some of the areas here that we're going to be working on. So the one thing that I wanted to show you was the way that the liner is installed, and I can pass these around. This is a flexible liner that can conform to an oval pipe, a round pipe, an egg-shaped pipe. We have all different sizes and configurations of pipes, so by putting a liner in that's flexible, we can actually conform that pipe to the shape of the existing pipe. So this is pulled in, usually through a manhole, with a couple of pieces of equipment. They come in with a boiler truck, and they either cure the liner with steam or hot water. And when that liner goes in, there's a resin that's actually put in between those 2 layers. And then as it's curing and it cooks it, once it's processes of the chemical reaction occurs inside the pipe, then they cool it. It then becomes a hard pipe. I won't pass this around, it's a little heavier than that one. But that's how we can replace our pipe without digging it in the street. So we try to do that as many places as we can. A lot of the systems in the north end are made out of brick, and they're odd shaped, and then we can put this in. So the water main installation, this is a standard valve installation. We're working on the street, we can isolate areas. We will disinfect the bypass. We will disinfect the water main. We pressure test the water main, make sure everything's functioning to our standards, and then everything's reactivated. So a couple of critical issues. I know in the north end, people are concerned about rodent control.
All right, gentlemen, I know you're trying to be quiet, but I find it distracting. Okay, thank you. Sorry.
Thank you. We do a rodent control program. D'Alessandro's already hired a pest control company. They've already started baiting the streets that we're going to be going to. Every month they will come back out and re-inspect those. So if anyone sees an increase in rodent activity going on during the process of our construction activities, please call our office. All our contact information is on the back of the report. Do not call Maria at 311, because all she's going to do is call Derek or call Chris, who's then going to make sure that we address your concern. So immediate response, call the commission. If during the night we have water bypass down on the street and you notice that it's leaking, please don't wait till the morning to call Chris or Derek. Also on the back, there's our 24/7 manned 24-hour number, 989-7000. Call that, just identify the water bypass on Hanover Ave is leaking, and they will call Derek and get him out here with his crew to fix it. If it's a real big emergency, the commission will actually respond first as well. So the other thing that I know is a big concern is trash removal. I think D'Alessandro's proven that they always cooperate with the abutters, making sure that the trash barrels get to the guys when they come. We know that street sweeping is important. We'll be working on the street. We do have the schedules for the street sweeping. You know, if we're on the street and digging and the sweeper can't get down the street, these guys will pick up the trash as they're going down the street. to remove the debris so that, you know, if we miss a street sweeping day because we're on the street, we'll make sure the street is clean. I think that's about wraps up. We hope to be done by the end of next year with all this work. Unfortunately, it won't move as fast as some of our other work did last year because it's on more difficult streets, and this is our big dig contract.
Quick question. On Richmond Street, there's a bunch of businesses.
Yes.
There's a lot of restaurants there. I haven't been in a while.
Okay. We like eating
We
there
have,
then.
thank you, we have the old granite sidewalks with the
Yes.
charcoal shoots underneath,
Areas underneath.
which are all open and, you know,
Yeah.
part of our basements and stuff like that. How would you guys deal with that? And how would you deal with the service of water, gas, and sewer for the businesses?
Well, the sewer service is never interrupted unless we're doing the liner. The liner process on a smaller system will take about 8 hours. So if you have a very large building, like a 5-story brick building with a lot of apartments, that would be a building that we would actually bypass your service connection. If it's a small 3-unit residential home and people are working during the day, we can get the liner in and you won't notice any interruptions to your service. So Derek's super or foreman will come and investigate all those buildings and they'll determine what they need to give you for service. As far as water service, if you're on the street and you're being impacted with the water main installation on Richmond, you would be put on bypass. So during the installation of the work, we make them have 2 feeds that are from streets outside the limit of the work. So if we're doing a connection at an intersection, you don't go out of water. So the tie-in for the bypass is about 20 minutes, if it's not a very complicated one. So we would do that first thing in the morning when you're just opening up. They're very flexible. We'll work with each building. So everybody's water bypass, this connection is designed with the owner of the building. The biggest concern we always have is like if it's a tenant occupied building and the owner's not easily available, that when we get into a problem and eventually we have to shut the main down and start the work, and then the tenants will be calling the owner to say, you need to get out here so we can get water.
Okay, another question, will you be shutting the street down?
Richmond Street, I believe we will maintain access. If we're going right down the middle, down here at this end for the sewer installation, there's probably a detour in place. We will always maintain pedestrian access. We do employ police officers to facilitate safe access around the work zones.
And on average, how long does it take you to do one north and one?
Well, I would say on Richmond Street, we'd probably be 2 to 3 months.
2 to 3 months.
Well, we're doing 2 water mains and the sewer.
Ballet service, all that stuff.
Yeah, so any water service that we find in the street is copper, but when we go into the building to tie you onto the bypass, we're going to be looking for lead services. So if we find that you have lead coming through your foundation wall, if you give Derek permission, we'll bring copper service all the way through your foundation wall to your meter.
So what I'm talking about is for the businesses there. Ballet service for 3
Correct.
months, not gonna happen.
Well, we're not going to be there at night,
You're not gonna be there. So
No.
you're off the street during the day?
or the weekend,
So
so
5 o'clock you guys are out?
8 a.m. to 4 p.m.
Okay, perfect.
You know, if there's a water emergency or something
Yeah,
really
I
bad,
mean,
catastrophic,
yeah.
you know, we apologize, but,
Yeah.
no, we try to be in just after everybody goes to work, and then we know for restaurants that, you know, your prime business is at night. For the restaurants that are open during the day, you know, we'll be very cooperative.
And when do you think the schedule is gonna be? When this is gonna start, the work's gonna start again,
Well,
another thing?
In this area, it's all gonna be April, May,
April.
June, July, August. We won't be working Patriots Day, obviously.
I mean, did you say end of next year, or did you mean the end of 2018? For the whole project to be done?
Well, there's another phase coming,
Yeah.
and that will be in 2018.
Yeah, okay.
We're hopeful that this job will be done at the end of next year,
Yeah.
but that's depending if we get to work a little bit in the winter, and then a little bit, if we get delayed, any weather impacts will be into 2018.
When was the last time these pipes were replaced? How long has it been?
Well, some of them are like 1880, the
Seriously?
water mains. Yeah, so if we only could live 140 years, we'd be in this shape. good. Not that I want them to come here for it.
But at least it speaks to the workmanship of what was.
Right, and it's amazing, I was actually looking at some old pictures today of how the poor workers worked in the late 1800s with putting in, not like simple little water mains, they were putting in 26-foot wide and 12-foot deep sewers. That's the main trunk line running from all the way from Hyde Park to the Charles River in the late 1800s, early 1900s with rock removal, and they didn't have jackhammers and excavators and hoe rams and they had picks. And it didn't take 3 months. It was like long, but the craftsmanship was unbelievable because those systems are still very good shape and
Yeah.
functioning
That
today.
speaks a lot about what they did.
Right.
Anyone else on the council have any questions? Anyone in the audience? All right, thank you.
That was great, Edward. Thank
Yep,
you.
and anytime you need anything, please just give us a call. What concerns or questions, we're always available.
Great.
And we'll be doing updates on the website, and we'll be giving them to our favorite people in the room for putting on your website as well.
Thank you.